of great torment for that country in the September 11 attacks. Recently, we've seen the US heaving under the pressure of coronavirus, then social unrest with the Black Lives Matter protest. Are you worried about the stability of our great ally?
No, I'm not. America, remember, is the third most populous country in the world after India and China. It remains far and away the most powerful militarily and economically. It's always had tensions between the states and the central government. Remember, the Americans fought a civil war, and it's more than, it was back in the 19th century, but it was a terrible war, and there were more people died in that than all the subsequent conflicts in which Americans were involved. And there are still enormous tensions between the central government, and you'll get and of course on top of that the issue of race relations remains very strong, and I understand that, and I like most people I quite disturbed, no, appalled at the incident that has sparked the latest death of that man, and it's just, that was a terrible incident, but America has gone through this sort of thing before, and I remain very confident that the unifying instincts of the American people are greater than the rivalries that history has given them.
Now, your friend George W. Bush as president, we've seen many of the alumni of his administration just launch a political action committee, ex-cabinet secretaries, White House officials, supporting Joe Biden at the upcoming election. It's a very bizarre political landscape right now in the United States. I know you still watch it very closely, but what do you make of the Bush alumni backing Biden?
Well, I think that the political mood has moved against President Trump because of his handling of the pandemic. I would hesitate to make a prediction about what will happen, but the polls and my sense of the mood of the country is that Trump's position has deteriorated. I had reservations about his election almost 4 years ago. I expressed them. My normal instinct would be to support a good Republican candidate for the presidency. I know Joe Biden. I don't know him well. He doesn't seem to me to be a powerful alternative candidate. He has communications challenges. I think the campaign will be very important. I think there's a tendency to write Trump off a little too prematurely. What do I think of people who worked for George W. Bush being critical? Well, this happens in politics, and happens more frequently in presidential politics because in our parliamentary system, the path to the top is different and often a lot more difficult and more testing, so that somebody who finally does get to the top of a party is more likely to command strong rank-and-file support. Trump won the Republican nomination as an outsider. Not many people thought he would win it. He did. And he won the election by defeating somebody who turned out to be a very unpopular candidate. And he appealed very much to people who felt they'd been left behind. Now, that's 4 years ago. I think his handling of the pandemic is going to be the biggest single challenge, because not only has he appeared contradictory with some of the things he said, but I think also it's had a very bad effect on America's economy. And of course, his greatest strength until the pandemic came along was the way in which he'd handled the economy well. And I think he had handled the economy well. I think Trump is one of those people who you have to judge on each individual issue. You give him a tick for some things, and he's done some very good things. And he's been a good friend to Australia. and I think his general foreign policy posture in our part of the world is right. On other things, though, I wouldn't give him a tick.
And as one of our, statesmen and great leaders, obviously you don't get a vote, but would you prefer to see a Biden victory this year?
No, I don't get a vote. And in a sense, I'm quite pleased. I mean, on other occasions, I've unhesitatingly had a very strong view. I'm still very ambivalent. Look, President Trump is obviously struggling with the pandemic, but former Vice President does not persuade me that he is a powerful alternative. So I am very ambivalent. I am very ambivalent, Kieran. Maybe in 5 months you can ask me the same question.